Hi, I'm Julia and this is my shed. So today we're going to carry on with the smoke box. I thought I'd start looking at getting the chimney attached. So we've got the chimney, we've got a petticoat pipe. Unfortunately the petticoat pipe doesn't quite fit in the chimney, so we're going to need to just machine this this hole out a little bit more, I think. The other problem is that that doesn't fit through there either. So this is probably not the correct petticoat pipe. It's probably from another loco, but it's nicely made, so we may as well make the use of it. So what I was originally going to do was bore this out, put this in, but as this is too small as well, what might make sense is a small joining piece that fits in here and fits in here. So I'll have a rummage through my stock and see if we've got anything that will do for that. So the scrap box has provided again. So I found this thick wall brass tube, which I can. It's got a 38mm in a diameter, so that's fine for. I can machine away a bit so it slips inside the chimney okay, and then on the other side I can bore it out or sort of machine it so that this fits on and we can bore it through, so we've got a smooth transition there. So that would be cool. It's probably a bit long at the moment, but I think what I'll do is I'll get this inside, do this side first, and then we'll see what it looks like, and then I can remove, you know, once we get so much of this on. I mean, maximum we want is probably not all of that, so I can machine that off or whatever. So yeah, I think off to the lathe then, shall we? Excuse the noise in the background. That's the lovely diesel heater, which is stopping me from freezing to death. I keep going on about it, but I do like it. Okay, so the first job is to square off the end, so we'll do that first. Okay, we've got a nice straight edge there. So what we're trying to do is just thin off this section so that will fit on. Get a nice finish there. So we're on 45.9 at the moment. I'll put that into the DRO. We're aiming for about 42. Take quite a bit more off yet. Okay, so that should just be into 43 now, so I'll just double check my measurements. Yeah, I've got 43.9 at the moment. So quite a lot more to come off yet. What we can do now is just try this on. It's a little bit loose actually, so it'll come out a little bit. Okay, so when it actually gets into the full thing, it's a little bit tight there, so just go in a little bit more. Take another 10th thou off or something like that. That's too much. So this is where it will go, going through the smoke box. So that looks okay, but I forgot to take into account smoke box curvature. So we've still got a bit of a gap there, so we need to make that go in a bit further. So I'll measure that gap and we'll take it back to the lathe and do some more machining. Okay, so I've just offered up the smoke box. There's not a lot of clearance here, but clearance is clearance. So that's a nice tight fit there on the smoke box. So that's spot on. So we can take this out now. Well, I'll just chamfer that corner again, and then we can take this out and measure up what we need to do next. Hooray! Fantastic. Try again. Okay, that's nice and straight. We don't need to machine the outside, so I'll chamfer that and we'll start boring. Remember, kids, make sure your part is in the vise, in the chuck, nice and tightly. Right, so we've got the boring bar in place. We've got to take off quite a bit, so we'll just take it easy. So what I'm going to do initially is just go up to where the hole is. So I think that's a good enough distance actually. So we're circular now, so I'll measure that and just so we've got some idea of where we are. So I'm on just under 40 there. Need to be 44. So I'll take quite a bit more out yet. Hooray! It's 2 for 2. Let's perhaps not be quite so greedy. I'll put you on time lapse now because it's gonna take quite a while to do this. Okay, so that's quite a nice fit in there. I don't know if you can see, but there's a bit of a lip there at the moment, so that's not very good for gas flow. So what I'm going to do is use the boring bar just to taper, just to cut this corner off really, and taper it into where it joins the rest of the you know, the diameter there. So I'll show you how the cross slide is set up at an angle at the moment, so I'll start with that angle. That's probably a little bit too steep an angle, but I'll start with that, and then we'll see how we get on. Somebody's put a camera in the way, so I'm going to have to take you out of the way for a second just so I can get set up. Sorry about that. Right, I've moved you out the way now, so let's see what happens. Oh, that looks good. Okay, yeah, we just need to take a little bit more off. So I don't want to take too much off because we're quite close. There's not much meat in this sort of transition area, so as long as we've got a fairly smooth transition there, which that doesn't look too bad now, I think we'll go with that. Okay, so I've got the smoke box back on the loco temporarily. So hopefully we can see now that perhaps we need a little bit of a transition here as well, maybe, just to make that a bit smoother. So we'll do that. Have a look inside. So that actually looks okay. We've just got to plug up these two holes, but apart from that we're pretty good there actually. So the top of this just gets to the top of the petticoat pipe just goes to where the hole is. So you know, we've got a bit of a transition there, so that should be pretty good. Okay, so the machining's pretty much done on this, but obviously we've got these holes on the side which I need to address. Perhaps should have done that first, I'm not sure. So this one's, we can just plug with a bit of brass. I was going to silver solder these in, but as you can see here there's already some lead-based solder. So I've got some ComSol, which is like a high melting point solder. So I'll turn up a couple of plugs for this on the lathe, and then we'll do some soft soldering again. So second time actually. And then I'll just machine it flush on inside and out then. So that's the plan for these. So let's see if we can find some brass to plug these up. Okay, I found a bit of battered brass that's not much copper or anything else, so we'll see if we can make it into a plug. You see it's very wobbly, but Doesn't have to be anything special. I think that'll probably go in, and we can just machine it off afterwards. I think. Let's just give it a little bit more, so there's space for the soft solder to sit in. I don't want a tight fit really. Perfect. So this is actually the second one. I'll just part this off. So the camera had a bit of a wappy before. We'll just looks like that's a bit high at the moment. I've broken the tip, one or the other. Have to have an investigate of that. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea of what I'm using. I've got a bit of Baker's Flux, Baker's fluid, soldering fluid number 3, which is just an acid flux, and I've just dabbed a bit of that on, so that should just hopefully clean things up a bit. And then I'm going to use Comsol, which is, as you can see, it's sort of 300-degree soldering. Call it solder, that's the word. Yes, 300-degree solder, so that should cope with the temperatures in the smoke box, I would think. So I'll just get the torch set up. I might try with the cook's torch today because it's fairly thin bit of steel, brass. See how we get on with that. It's just a bit wobbly at the moment. There we go, hopefully that will sit in nicely. So we'll have a go. I'll probably put you on time lapse just because it takes a while to heat things up normally. But hopefully we'll be able to solder those in. So to paraphrase those immortal lines in Jaws, we're going to need a bigger plug. So this hole was actually mainly soft solder by the looks of it. So I'll make a hole that a plug that diameter. The bottom one's done okay, so I'll let that cool down. But I'm going to need a bigger plug on this side. So I'll nip back to the lathe and do that off camera. It's pretty simple turning work really, and I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, we'll have another go with a slightly bigger plug now. Some decent flow there now. That'll do. My usual trick. Get rid of any flux. I just have the advantage of filling the workshop with steam as well, which is absolutely brilliant for machine tools. They absolutely love it. So we'll let that cool down, then I'll just have to machine off the knobbles. I've got quite a bit of solder on the inside as well, so we'll need to clean all that up. But hopefully that will be airtight, so we won't lose any vacuum, which is the general idea. So this should be quite exciting, an interrupted cut on a tube. We're going to have to be very careful here. I'm literally just doing a few thou at a time. Hey! That's what happens when you get greedy. So I've just tried it, and the petticoat pipe is a little bit tight. So I'm just going to shave a tiny bit more out of where I've soldered. So about there, I think. I'll give that a go and see how we get on. Give this a bit of a try, see how we're getting on. Right, it's quite a nice tight fit actually. You can see that. That's the section I've had to round off a little bit here. But that's pushed all the way in. That's gone all the way in. So there's no gaps there. So that's a nice tight fit. So I don't even need to solder that. This bit doesn't matter because there's quite a lot of clearance. So yeah, let's have a look on the logo now. Okay, so that's the view looking in. Obviously you can't see anything because of the torch. But reasonably well lined up on the blast pipe. As you can see, there's clearance all the way around there, and it's a fairly good fit in the chimney, so probably won't even need to put any silicone on that. That should just work quite nicely. So not the prettiest of jobs, but it will do, it will work. And when this is completely covered in soot, nobody's ever going to know anyway, so but yeah, it's another step forward. So the next thing I'd like to do is this casting for the chimney is still quite rough, so the next job is we'll get the Dremel out and try and improve that a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to have a quick go at cleaning up these casting marks. It's a bit of a shame they didn't finish machining it. You know, they've done a nice job on the top, but then obviously got bored. So it's quite rough there, so I'll start with the files, and then I'll once we've got the worst of it off, we'll get on the Dremel tool, and we'll try and get these as even as possible. So I'll have you on time lapse for this because I don't think it's going to be that interesting. So I'm quite pleased with how this is going, actually. What I'm trying to do is maintain a consistent rim thickness here. So you can see it's these sections, it's still a bit high. And then I'm trying to blend in all of the radiuses so I can feel that there's a bit of a shoulder here. And the same, not so much on this side, but I've managed to sort of blend in these curves in the middle quite nicely. So we're just concentrating now, just trying to, just work on these shoulders a bit. But the Dremel tool's working really well, actually. It doesn't take off too much at once, so you can just gently blend that in. But I can feel that, again, we've got a bit of a lump here. So I'll carry on working on these shoulders. This side's a bit better. And yeah, we'll keep working at it. So that's the chimney done as well as I can make it, I think. I managed to get a fairly even blend all the way around, so I think that looks pretty good. The casting's a bit rough in places, perhaps take a bit more off there, but it's looking pretty nice, actually. Quite pleased with how that's going. Again, we can take a bit more off this lip here, but it's very difficult to do. I mean, you're blending it lots of three-dimensional curves, so it's quite a fiddly job, actually. But yeah, definitely getting there. So I'm pretty happy with that now, actually. It's quite nicely blended in. It's not going to be perfect. There's the odd casting inclusion there. But the whole point of this loco is that it's an end-of-life loco. It's 1967. Steam's about to, they're all about to be scrapped. So they're not well looked after. They've had a few knocks and bangs in their working life, so I'm okay with that. I say I'm very pleased with how the petticoat pipe fits. Just use some daylight there. That fits in quite nicely. So you can see we haven't got a regulator in there at the moment, so that's one of the next jobs. But I know this isn't pretty, but it does the job. And the bit that needs to look fairly pretty is pretty good now, actually. I've seen much worse. It's a very difficult thing to do because you're blending this radius here into this radius here, so it's quite a difficult job. First time I've done that, actually, so you'd be surprised to hear. So I'm quite pleased with how that's gone. I don't really want to go any further with it in case I make a mess of it, really. So I think we'll leave it at that. So a bit of a short one this week, I'm afraid. I've just had quite a lot on. Not been feeling fantastic this week, health-wise. So I'm afraid that's actually a lot for this week. Hopefully next week we'll carry on. This is probably the next job, is to make this plate. I'm not looking forward to it because we sort of need to get the drills, the holes for the rivets to line up ideally. So that's going to be fun. So, so as I said before, if you've got any great ideas on how to make this plate, I'm all ears. So anyway. So I hope you enjoyed that, found it interesting, entertaining. Please leave a comment, let me know what you thought. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.